No more rhymes now, I mean it.
Anybody want a peanut?
Ah!
Stop rhyming, I mean it. Anybody want a peanut? It is arguably the greatest rhyme in cinema history. The Princess Bride is a miracle of a movie. It balances high-stakes romance with a giant who just wants a snack. But behind the scenes, it was a disaster of injuries, anxiety, and a whole lot of alcohol. If you want to know how this beautiful train wreck became a classic, you're in the right place. Here are 10 things you didn't know about The Princess Bride. Number 10, the box office bomb. Inconceivable, right? Today, this movie is a cultural touchstone. It's in the Library of Congress, but back in 1987, it was a disappointment. It barely made back its $16 million budget. Why? Because the marketing department at 20th Century Fox had absolutely no clue what they were selling.
What?
Was it a comedy, a romance, a fantasy? They decided to market it as a children's fairy tale, which scared off all the teenagers and adults who would have actually liked the satire. The original poster didn't even show the sword fighting or the adventure. It just showed the grandfather reading a book to the kid. Rob Reiner admitted the title sounded like a sappy family bedtime story. It wasn't until the movie hit VHS in 1988 that it actually found its audience. It became a word-of-mouth sensation, proving that sometimes the audience is smarter than the studio executives. Number 9, the executive curse. Before Rob Reiner got his hands on it, The Princess Bride spent 12 years in what industry insiders called the executive curse. Every time a studio head greenlit the project, they would get fired shortly after. In the 70s, Richard Lester was going to direct it. Then the head of Fox got fired. The project collapsed. Robert Redford wanted to do it. Francois Truffaut wanted to do it. It got so bad that William Goldman, the author, used his own money to buy back the rights because he was terrified Hollywood was going to ruin it. Rob Reiner eventually got it made because he had just directed This Is Spinal Tap. And Goldman figured if anyone could handle a satire that was also serious, it was the guy who made a mockumentary about a rock band. Even then, they didn't have the financing until a week before shooting. Number 8, the Arrested Rodent. The rodents of unusual size, or ROUS, weren't puppets or CGI. They were little people in rat suits. One of the actors, Danny Blackner, had a bit of a rough night before his big scene fighting Cary Elwes. He went out drinking, allegedly in his custom-made rat car, and got pulled over by the police. Now, imagine trying to explain to a cop that you're speeding because you have to go fight the Dread Pirate Roberts in a swamp. The police threw him in the drunk tank. The production team had to bail him out of jail in the middle of the night so he could get to the set, put on his rat suit, and wrestle in the sand. It sounds like a joke, but it's 100% true. The glamour of Hollywood, folks. Number 7, the sword fight.
I need you to guide my sword.
Rob Reiner promised that this film would feature the greatest sword fight in modern times. And unlike most movies where they cut away to stunt doubles for the hard stuff, Cary Elwes and Mandy Patinkin did almost every single move themselves. They trained for months. We're talking 40 hours a week for 3 weeks before shooting, and then every spare moment on set. They learned to fence both left-handed and right-handed because the script called for them to switch hands mid-fight. The only things they didn't do were the acrobatic flip, that was a gymnast, and the tumble down the hill. Everything else, that's them. Fun fact, on the day of the shoot, they realized the choreography wasn't working for the camera angles. So they re-choreographed a chunk of the fight in 20 minutes on the spot and still nailed it. It's sweaty, it's exhausted, and it's real. Number 6, Wallace Shawn's anxiety.
You were not hired for your brains, you hippopotamic landmass!
Wallace Shawn, who played the Sicilian genius Vizzini, spent the entire film convinced he was going to be fired. Why? Because he knew he wasn't the first choice. Rob Reiner originally wanted Danny DeVito for the role. Shawn's agent, in a moment of brilliance, told him, well, they really wanted DeVito, but they couldn't get him. So Shawn spent every day on set thinking Reiner was secretly plotting to replace him. That manic, desperate energy you see in Vizzini, that inconceivable shouted at the top of his lungs, that was fueled by Shawn's genuine, real-life terror that he was an imposter. Reiner actually loved his performance, but Shawn didn't know that until way later. Number 5, the injuries. For a lighthearted fantasy, this movie hurt a lot of people. First, Cary Elwes broke his toe riding Andre the Giant's ATV. In the scene where he confronts Buttercup as the Dread Pirate Roberts, he's sitting down or leaning on furniture, not because it looks cool, but because he literally couldn't stand up. Then there's the knockout scene. When Count Rugen knocks Wesley out with the sword hilt, they couldn't get it to look real. So Elwes told Christopher Guest, "Just hit me for real. Tap me." Guest tapped him a little too hard. Elwes went down like a sack of potatoes, woke up in the ER with stitches, and the take you see in the movie is him actually getting knocked unconscious. Even Mandy Patinkin got hurt. He bruised a rib from trying not to laugh at Billy Crystal during the Miracle Max scenes. That's right, the only injury the Master Swordsman got was a comedy injury. Number 4, the nervous author. William Goldman, who wrote the book and the screenplay, was a nervous wreck on set. He was so invested that he kept ruining takes. In the fire swamp scene, they kept hearing this weird mumbling sound. It turned out to be Goldman, hiding behind a prop toadstool, chanting prayers for the scene to go well. Then, in the scene where Buttercup's dress catches fire, Goldman screamed, "Her dress is on fire!" ruining the take. Rob Reiner had to turn around and say, "Bill, it's supposed to catch fire. Remember? You wrote it." Eventually, they had to ban him from the set for certain scenes because he was acting like a helicopter parent watching his kid play soccer. Number 3, the casting multiverse. The Princess Bride almost looked completely different. In the 70s, a young, unknown Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered for Fezzik. By the time the movie got made, Arnold was too expensive. Liam Neeson auditioned for the role of the giant. Rob Reiner looked at him and said, "You're 6'4"? That's not a giant," and dismissed him immediately. Colin Firth was in the running for Wesley. Uma Thurman auditioned for Buttercup but was rejected for being too exotic. They auditioned over 500 women for the princess role. They found Robin Wright a week before filming started. Imagine a version of this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Uma Thurman, and Colin Firth. It sounds like an SNL skit, but it almost happened. Number 2, the grief.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
This is where the movie stops being a comedy and gets real. Inigo Montoya's quest to kill the six-fingered man is the emotional core of the film. Mandy Patinkin had lost his father to pancreatic cancer years before filming. He took the role because he told himself, if I get this six-fingered guy, that means I killed the cancer that killed my dad. When he delivers that final line, "I want my father back, you son of a," he's not acting. He's talking to his dead father.
Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die! No!
That raw vibration in his voice, that's real grief. It's what grounds the movie and prevents it from just being a silly romp. It's proof that you can have giant rats and miracle pills, but if the emotion is real, the audience will buy it. Number 1, the giant. Andre the Giant is the soul of this movie, and the stories about him are legendary. First, there's the fart. On the first day of shooting, Andre let out a 16-second fart that brought production to a standstill. Cary Elwes said it could be heard in 3 counties. Nobody knew what to say until Andre grinned and said, "I am now boss." Then there's the gentleness. He used to keep Robin Wright warm by placing his massive hand over her head like a hat. She said it was like a personal sauna. But there's also the pain. Andre was suffering from acromegaly, and his back was destroying him. He drank alcohol not just to party, but as a painkiller. We're talking 100 beers in a sitting. By the end of the shoot, his hotel bar tab was over $40,000. He was in so much pain, he couldn't even catch Robin Wright in the jumping scene. They had to use wires to lower her into his arms. Despite all that agony, he was the kindest person on set. As Rob Reiner said, "We'll never see anyone like him again." All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while. Have a great day and be nice to each other.